Good evening. It is 7 o'clock on January 23rd, our Tikkun Olam meeting. Take it away.
I'll start. Thank you all for coming. It's been a while since we've been together, and I'm delighted that we can kick off the new 2023 year as a team. Maybe the most appropriate way to do this is to do a quick set of rounds so everybody knows who everyone else is. Tell us who you are and how you wound up here, and pass it off to the next person on the list until we all have a chance. I'm Linda Muskin. I co-chair this committee with Sharon Stein. Couldn't do it any other way. And I'm delighted to be here. Amy?
Oh, okay. I'm Amy, and I co-chair the Hesed Circle and love the work that we're all doing together collectively. Sharon.
Sharon Stein, co-chair of this committee with Linda, ditto on what she said, and been doing this so long I wouldn't know how to not do it.
That's what we like to hear.
Susie.
I'm Susie Mason. I'm programming for this committee, and I've been involved with a number of social justice things, and that's how I ended up here.
Pass it on.
Lynn Frank.
Hi, I'm Lynn Frank. I'm working on programming with Susie Mason, and very happy to be here. Vanessa.
I'm Vanessa Ehrlich, Director of Lifelong Learning, and while I have everyone's attention, this affects you. On February 5th, we were supposed to have a historian, but now Willie Cobb, African-American, he's speaking to our kids in the afternoon. He'll be speaking to us at 10 for Black History Month. That's Tikkun Olam, so come on down. And it'll be in person, lots of bagels.
Nice.
Virtual as well?
I'm sorry, what?
Virtual as well, or no?
It'll be streaming, yes.
Okay.
Joan.
Okay, Joan Les. We moved here from New Mexico 3 months ago, and we're almost settled in.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Maida, do you want to go next? You have to unmute.
No, I'm unmuting myself. I'm sorry. It took a minute to get the cursor over there. I'm Maita Levin. I've been involved in Tikkun Olam. Sharon and I have been involved in Tikkun Olam for a long time. And I am the Macomb Solo Lakeside representative to Lake County United and sit on the steering team. Floyd.
I'm Floyd Keene. I've been on this committee ever since the merger, and I'm really in charge of finance. So if you have any project that needs some kind of financing, talk to me. Who hasn't gone yet? Len.
I'm Len Soloff, and I was involved with the social action at Lakeside, and I met with Sharon and Linda a couple of weeks ago and talked about pads, and have now been included in this group. So there I am.
Let's see, who else have we asked? Rich, have we talked to you yet? No.
Hi, Rich Amond. I serve as liaison to Religious Action Center in JCUA. Ike, I don't think you've gone.
Hi, I'm Ike Serrata. It's nice to see you all. I'm one of the rabbis at Macomb Solo Lakeside.
Well, I think we've all had a chance to at least introduce ourselves, so you know what to connect a name with a face, which is excellent. The next thing on the agenda this evening would be to ask Rabbi Ike to say a few words to sort of set the tone for this.
A Devar Torah, a few words about Torah. And so we're in the book of Exodus now. We're reading about Moses going into Pharaoh and saying, let my people go. And it just strikes me as that there are some pretty apt metaphors there for what we do, right? Because, first Moses says, how can I possibly do this? I don't speak so well. How am I the one who's supposed to go do this? And actually God responds to that by saying, well, you'll go with your brother, go with Aaron, and the two of you go into Pharaoh. And so this suggests to us that we work better as a team than any of us does as an individual. So the reason for coming together as a committee, as a community, to do Tikkun Olam is because we strengthen each other and help each other, accomplish the goals that we set for ourselves. And then the other thing that really strikes me is that what Moses and Aaron do is they go into Pharaoh and speak truth to power. And this is not an easy thing to do, but it's what we're called on to do. And so in our various kinds of advocacy, whether it's letter writing or testimony in Springfield or whatever the different organizations we work with, JCUA and RAC Illinois and Lake County United and all those groups, they're the groups that go speak truth to power. And so we're a part of that as well. And just on a personal note, I mentioned that I'm taking a handful of our teenagers to Washington, D.C. this weekend to participate in a Litaken program with the Religious Action Center, which means that they will be training to be the next generation, right? They'll actually be learning how to speak truth to our congressional representatives. And on Monday, before we fly home, they'll have that opportunity to actually go into congressional offices and talk about the issues that are passionate for them. So we'll figure out what those issues are this weekend, and then they'll prepare what they're going to say, and then they'll go in and do it. And then we'll fly home. Then I'll take a nap.
I was going to say, it sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Well, before you take off, I just wanted to turn to you, Rabbi, for a hot second and ask if you would also give us an update on the Magen David Adom project.
Yeah, so I have good news on all fronts, actually, when it comes to the Magen David Adom project to build an ambulance for the state of Israel. We met and slightly exceeded our goal of $25,000 in the congregation. So we raised, I think the number is something like $26,132.50, I think that.
50 cents.
Yeah, the small change comes into play because you remember we had the children in the religious school collecting their tzedakah funds. So, so penny, dimes, nickels, quarters, came in. So, 50 cents, maybe we're rounding actually, I think. Anyway, so those kids raised about a little less than $1,000, thanks to some generous grandparents, I think, who some of whom might even be in this meeting. Helped that along a little bit. But a lot of other very generous folks in the congregation helped us meet our part of it. And then the congregations across the board, we've raised more than the $115,000 necessary to build an ambulance. So whatever comes in excess of 115,000 is going to be used to outfit the ambulance with some other specialized equipment and things like that, which isn't included in the regular 115. But so I'm not sure exactly where our number is going to finish up, because we actually went over 115 with 3 of the congregations yet to report what they did.
Wow.
So we're those 3 are probably going to be on the smaller end of things, but still it will push the number up nicely. So we're now talking about when the ambulance is built in Terre Haute, Indiana, and the names of the congregations are on it. We're going to bring it over and invite the other congregations to come over and see it as well. So that's probably after the High Holy Days. But I just started working on a date with them today. So it looks like maybe October 22nd, which is a Sunday. And I'll bring that up in our staff meeting tomorrow. And so Vanessa, you get a little heads up ahead of time. See, it looked like it was clear on the calendar, and we'll see if indeed it is, and then we'll make that happen. So that's Magen David Adom. I do want to mention that I got a very nice thank you note from the Beth Emmett Soup Kitchen about the coat drive, and I just thought I'd report it back to you that they wrote a lovely thank you note to the congregation for participating so generously in our annual winter coat drive. Our soup kitchen guests and the rest of us are so appreciative, and a little bit more than that as well. But just so you know that people notice what we do, and it's nice to get a thank you note now and then.
Excellent. Good news on all fronts. Thank you very much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I'm glad we were so successful with the ambulance drive. This is very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, it went very well. I mean, having a wife who's a professional fundraiser doesn't hurt. But because she's the one who suggested that I send a letter to anybody who's gone on a trip to Israel with me over the years. And that was really the core of our fundraising. I think overall, I can't say how many people participated through the religious school with their small change and things like that, but I think overall close to 50 people donated at some level to within our congregation. So, which just does show there's 400 and 550 other people, to reach, but the folks who did it, put us over the top.
Well, I think that's fabulous.
Mhm.
Before we address the subject of money through Floyd, I just wanted to welcome Wayne Rhodes, who joined us in progress and didn't have a chance to introduce himself. Wayne?
Hey there. Hi, everybody. Wayne Rhodes, working on the metrics of all our events. What else did you want to know? What did I miss? I was having trouble logging in.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Well, you heard Rabbi's report on
You
the
did.
ambulance. So that's the one piece of new business that we've addressed, or reports that we've addressed. The next one would be the budget. Oh, Alice?
Wait. Yeah, I wasn't on either.
Oh, goodness, I'm
I
so
wasn't part of the
sorry.
introductions either. It's
Please
okay.
introduce yourself.
I'm going to, but I'm in Wisconsin, and I got on what I thought was exactly at 7, and you guys were already through a whole bunch of the stuff. Anyway, so I'm sorry, but I'm Alice Cohn, and I'm doing, what am I doing? I'm doing the minutes. I'm doing the Kehila for Tikkun Olam. Good to see everybody.
You have snow up there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But not a lot. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, let's go to the money. Floyd, can you tell us what's the story on the budget for this committee?
Yeah, there's good news and questionable news. The good news is we should have no problems for the current fiscal year. The way it works is this committee gets an allocation of $3,600 from the Human Needs Fund to cover various expenses. And it looks like we're going to be able to be well within that for the current fiscal year. So that's good. Now, next year is really the problem. The Human Needs Fund right now has a significant amount of money in its coffers. However, if we give away the money as much as we did last year, by the end of this fiscal year, we'd be down to 0. And as many of you know, the synagogue used to have a checkoff system with the dues where the Human Needs Fund get contributions. There's so much else going on in the fundraising area, including the Magen David Adom campaign, that has not been done. So there's not been minimal fundraising for the Human Needs Fund, and that tracks down to this committee. Where we stand is we've been talking to Jen Gordon, the president, David Morrison, the VP development, and also the CFO of the temple. And what we're trying to do for next fiscal year is get a substantial allocation in the budget, which would cover the Human Needs Fund and also cover the Tikkun Olam Committee. Both Sharon and Linda and Vanessa worked very hard in putting together a budget for next year. That budget totaled $6,350, because we think we're going to be ramping up activities and expenses more than has been the case. Now, that $6,350 would also come through an allocation from the Finance Committee. Exactly how that would work, whether Human Needs is going to get everything it asked for, whether this committee is going to get everything it asked for, is yet to be seen. However, both Jen and David and Alex have been very encouraging and cooperative. They see our needs, they know we're important. So that is very, very good. But it is up in flux and it won't be determined until the end of this fiscal year. And everyone should just know about where we stand, which is why I wanted to tell everyone. That's it.
So there's no action required of us at the moment.
Exactly. Exactly. No action at the moment.
I can tell you that we're doing some small, but I hope significant fundraisers. We're going to do a Locks Box for Super Bowl, and the proceeds will go to the Human Needs. So at least, you know, we're bringing the face of Human Needs to the whole congregation.
Yeah, and frankly, the other important thing I think is in that 6,350 budget request, there's a significant amount of money for speakers. And we really wouldn't want to cut any of the other stuff, which is real core to us. But to the extent we may have to go for some speakers that do not charge a fee or things like that, that may be in the offing. But like I said, we don't know anything right now, and I'll keep everyone appraised of our situation.
Fair enough. Alice, you had a question?
Yeah, I do. And forgive me if this is something that's been covered already, but does Tikkun Olam do any fundraising on its own? In two different ways. I mean, like project kind of ways, but also can people contribute to the Tikkun Olam committee specifically, not through human needs, like if the donation is made to the synagogue?
Currently, that's not set up. Now, it could be if there's enough, if this group actually thinks it's something worthwhile, it could raise a couple $1,000s a year, conceivably. So it could be set up. It is not set up to do it that way right now.
Interesting idea.
Okay, thank you.
And let me say, if someone wants to give, if you know of someone that wants to give to the Tikkun Olam committee, they can just give the money and earmark it, and it will eventually go to this committee, and the processes and procedures the staff will have to figure out. But I don't want to discourage, I want to encourage anyone that might want to do that to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Anybody else have questions about this?
Yeah, I raised my hand. Just one.
I'm
more of a
sorry.
comment. I don't think I don't know that we've been turned down. I mean, to do specific fundraising for Tikkun Olam without a necessity to spend the money. I don't think we've ever been turned down for any fund requests. So, I mean, I don't even think we spent the money we've had the last couple of years. So, I mean, I don't know that we should, separate our fundraising unless we have if we have a specific need for spending it, it's one thing. But,
Yeah, and let me just give an example.
You might.
There was one contributor that gave a very significant amount of money and wanted it earmarked for environmental activities. That did not go to human needs. It did not go to the Tikkun Olam committee, but it is earmarked for environmental activities when appropriate needs arise. So it could happen on an informal basis like that. That's all I was trying to say.
Sharon?
Well, we haven't I don't think we can use the past couple years as a benchmark because no, we haven't spent our money, but also we weren't having in-person programming. And so it reduced the amount of money that we needed to spend. So I think you have to look either further back than 2 years or going forward when we want to look at a budget. But I know that our next item about the Tuesday programs might impact the budget a little bit too. So but I would hesitate to say, well, we haven't spent all our money in the last couple of years because we've just started, going back to having, well, not just, but within, this year, starting to have Friday night speakers and programs where we can get together and provide, services to groups or like new projects like the Deerfield Free Store.
Question?
Lynn?
And right off, let me just say, I apologize if you have been discussing these things my first time at the meeting. In any case, is the procedure or process for the committee and other committees in the temple to present the budget committee with a budget for its annual projects?
The answer to that, Len, is it's each committee does things their own way. And we decided to go the approach I described. I don't know what other committees are doing.
So I'm not sure I understand. So I understand the different approaches by each committee. I understand that part, but this committee then therefore does not present a budget for the year. Here are the projects we're going to work on. Here's what our projected costs are going to be, and therefore here's the amount of money we need. We don't do it like that. We do it on an as-needed basis as we go through, as you go through the year, and you come up with a project, and it's going to cost X number of dollars. You present that to the
Actually, the way it has been set up, and this was really done at the time of the merger by people looking at a very big picture of how all things are going to be set up. Okay, but this committee is to look to the Human Needs Fund for its money, and that it's been $3,600 for every year since the merger. Next year, the budget is $6,350. We'll have to see how it goes, but that's how this committee has been getting its money. And Sharon's absolutely right. We've had limited activities because of COVID. Everyone assumes they're going to be a lot more.
$6,350 for this committee from the Human Needs Committee?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what we might have to work with in the coming fiscal year.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me say, if there's some big special project that requires a lot of money, as soon as you get a whiff that might happen, talk to me, because there is the Human Needs Fund source. The rabbis and Cantor have discretionary funds. There are other potential sources within the synagogue. So yeah, whatever financial needs you have, talk to me and we'll figure it out.
Fair enough. Thank you all. I appreciate the clarification on that. As Sharon alluded to a moment ago, we wanted to talk about the Tuesday programming for a minute. The last several Tuesday programs that we've done, and these have all been online, were very poorly attended given the quality of the speaker and everything else. Now, why is that? It could be because the world has opened up enough that people now have lots of other things to do. The other side of that question is, well, then maybe we should be doing these in person. I don't know that we're ready to do that yet. If you look at attendance, just like on Friday night services, there's still a fair number of people who do it online. But we thought we would put it out to the group and say, what do you think about Tuesday programming and how do you think we should continue it, if at all?
Linda, are the Tuesday programs on Zoom?
Always on Zoom.
Okay, and the Friday night services are part of the service, so they're on the audio and video equipment in the sanctuary?
Correct.
Okay, I want to get this on record because I think it affects this committee. And Rabbi, if you could particularly pay attention, the audio
Not there.
from the sanctuary is absolutely awful. You just can't turn it up high enough on your computer. Last Sunday, Martin Luther King Day Sunday, I had to listen to the speaker by holding my iPad up to my ear. It was the only way I could hear. The sound is absolutely awful, and somehow I strongly request that that be addressed.
Here, I agree. I think
I'll
it
bring
might have
that
to do
up
with
to
the
people
positioning
who,
of the microphones. I think that's part of the issue.
I'll bring that up to people who know more about this than I do. So we'll see what we can.
Yeah, Len, it's not the microphones, it's the whole system. And we're working on switching it over, and hopefully it's going to get better, and
Okay,
hopefully it's going to get better.
so it's a known issue then.
Oh, we know that it's bad, that it's just like, do you throw the baby out with the bathwater? Because if you don't have a good system and you get new microphones, so it's very complicated and complex, or we would have fixed it already.
Alice?
Yeah, I was not involved in the original planning on having Tuesday Tikkun Olam, and that's once a month, is my understanding. And then once a month have a Shabbat service, have a Tikkun Olam emphasis. But I'm thinking, I don't know, Linda, I think you started out this way. It's, part of it, I think, is people, I think that was started during COVID, and I think people are starting to get away from doing things on Zoom. But the other thing I wanted to say is, even if that wasn't the case, I think it's a lot to do twice a month and have a nice amount of people show up for both of those. I think it just might, as much as I love the Tikkun Olam programming, I think you do have a limited number of people that you're appealing to. So if you're appealing to the same kind of small group every month, things are going to come up with people. I can't do it that Tuesday, or that Tuesday, that's not good for me, or it doesn't appeal to, that program doesn't appeal to me. So I think it's different pairing it with the Shabbat service, because you're talking about a service that more people are going to think to attend, and then it's like the bonus to have the Tikkun Olam. I mean, these are just all my opinions. I'm completely my opinion, and I'd love to hear what other people have to say.
Alice, thank you for mentioning Friday night. It gives me an opportunity to thank Amy, who was stellar, absolutely stellar at Shabbat services last week. Making the case for the Hesed Circle, and you've got a whole bunch of people who raised their hands and said, I want to do it. So absolutely, you got a response on that. You really touched a nerve. Thank you very much. Back to the question of Tuesdays. Anybody else want to weigh in on this?
I agree with everything that's been said. Friday nights have been super successful. The clergy and the office and people are beginning to expect, okay, the third Friday night is Tikkun Olam Shabbat. Thank you, everyone who's gotten speakers or who has spoke on that. And I think the Tuesday night ship has sailed.
I agree as well. And I think that we talked at our last meeting about maybe doing some things that were more program related that wouldn't be on a Tuesday night. We talked about possibly doing something to deal with the PTSD from the parade as a panel that people could go to. So maybe something a little different.
Sounds like there's some consensus here. Yes, that we should bag the Tuesday and go with special programming on Fridays. Yes. Fair enough. Okay. Moving right along. Joan, let's introduce yourself briefly when we did rounds, but there's a reason, a very special reason that we asked Joan to join this particular call. When I first, let's see, Sharon and I chatted with Joan about a program that she ran when she was in Albuquerque. And she has brought this idea to us. And Joan, you want to explain it? Let's see if we want to move forward with it here.
Sure. It was Santa Fe, not Albuquerque.
Oh my God, you're right. I'm so
There's a world
sorry.
difference. That's quite all right.
I was in New Mexico.
Well, if this went forward this year, it would be my 11th year doing this. And it's a very easy project. And what it entails is collecting stuffed animals for the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center, which deals with all the children and adolescents from the Lake County, but that have had sexual abuse, physical abuse, or who have witnessed trauma. My background is a art therapist and drug addiction counselor, and I worked with children who had been abused. So it's important to me, and I think it's important to everyone, actually. What's so nice about this project is that it can be educational, it can be interfaith. I always did it. I asked a church or another congregation to do it with me. And it's a very easy project because all it entails is you get a big box, you decorate it, you put it in the lobby. There's a 2-week period that e-blasts are sent out before and after. And you buy the stuffed animals, put them in the box, and then we take them to the Lake County, I have to get this straight, Lake County Children's Advocacy Center. And then after the child or adolescent goes through the forensic examination, meeting with the police, with the caretaker, whoever is there, social worker, which is very stressful and traumatic for anyone who has to go through it. In Santa Fe, they were allowed to go into a room and it was filled with stuffed animals and journals for the older children. And they were allowed to pick out a toy, a stuffed animal, to take home with them. It wasn't just to play with there and put back, but and this really helped make the day into something more positive. And the importance to me and to the directors of the various places that I've worked with in the past, is that it really reinforces the idea that the abuse was not their fault. And that's why I feel it can be a very good educational tool too for our school, because the moms and dads could take the children to pick out a toy, not for their child, but for a child who has gone through a difficult time. And they can take that as far as they want to, depending on the age of the child. The interfaith is that we do the project at the same time. We get to talk to each other. We get to deliver it at the same time. And I spoke to the executive director of the Lake County Children's Advocacy Center, who is Carrie Flanagan. She is willing to speak at a Friday night at the synagogue. In fact, she was kind of, very enthusiastic about that. And she was enthusiastic about the whole idea. She said that there is a group that makes, that knits blankets for them, and that the children get the blanket, but talking with my husband, I just don't think a blanket can compare to a stuffed animal to take home. So, I mean, I can go into more detail. I don't know how detailed you want this.
I think it's a really interesting idea. The question to the committee is, do we want to support this and get behind it? Amy?
No, absolutely. My hand was raised in affirmation of it. Yes.
Kids would rather
Yeah.
have stuffed animals as opposed to a schmata? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand. Sounds like a great idea to me.
Sounds great.
No, I have a question for you. You made reference to store bought. I have like in my house hundreds of those McDonald's stuffed animals when my brother was executive vice president. No one's touched them. They're in boxes and wrapping paper, but none of that. It needs to be a substantial size, just for clarity.
Okay, so I could go into more detail that they have to be new stuffed animals and they have to have the tag on them. And that's because the first year I did this, I didn't put that in the e-blast. And then I had to go through weeding out which people gave from the good of their hearts, but use stuffed animals because the health laws will not let you do that. And the animals, the stuffed animals, should not have a battery in them because some of the families, at least in New Mexico, you know, couldn't afford to buy the batteries after they went dead. And then I was speaking with Linda. What I learned is that it's better maybe in the e-blast to put a medium-sized stuffed animal because we got such a variety from like a 4-inch stuffed animal to a 4-foot stuffed animal. And it just makes it a little bit more difficult when children see it and or look in the box and see that their stuffed animal isn't quite as big. So in the e-blast or whatever goes out, as much publicity as possible, it would say new, tags on, no batteries, and medium-sized stuffed animals if possible. I didn't mention that April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and when I talked to Carrie Flanagan, she said that that would be a good time to do it. My girlfriend who took over for me in Santa Fe said that they did it a little after Hanukkah because people were out shopping. And, you know, when you're out shopping, you can always just pick up something extra. The other time I did it once was after Valentine's Day in March, because after Valentine's Day, a lot of stuffed animals go on sale. So,
good idea.
I think when we were looking at the schedule, we were thinking maybe March. I think we have to talk to our April. We usually let the green group choose something. So, but we can certainly talk to them or, you know, whatever. But March, we don't have anything.
So it'd be going into Child Abuse Recognition Month.
It'd be ready for, yeah, it'd be ready for April.
I think that would be great. And I'm sure that, you know, Carrie Flanagan would be happy to come in March and talk about how April's going to be Child Abuse Awareness Month.
Okay, so then we should move forward with this and extend an invitation to her for March Shabbats that we, nope.
Oh, I
Sharon?
don't know. We need to look at the calendar and see what we,
Okay,
we'll
let you know.
we need to double check the calendar before,
Okay.
and then.
And get it worked out. That's fair.
Yeah.
This is why I work with Sharon.
Joan, I was just wondering, did you have a church already lined up or some?
No, you know, like I said, we moved in 3 months ago. We don't know that many people yet because a lot of things have been on Zoom. However, we have very friendly neighbors who belong to a Catholic church, and you know, the name doesn't yet mean anything to me because I don't know where it is or how many other church, but I could ask him. He's very active there. I don't know if you have any churches in mind or.
I didn't have something specific in mind, although we do have some connections with many of the churches actually around. So in fact, if we wanted to make it bigger than just 2, we could if we wanted to. But also Quincy Worthington at the Highland Park Presbyterian Church and I have been talking about doing things together. So so that this might be a good opportunity to get something like that going. If you like.
Yes.
Maida?
We have contacts with a lot of churches and other congregations through Lake County United. And so I would be happy to reach out to any of them, and all of them, in fact. And you know, if we wanted to contact them. We've been working with these churches for years.
Yeah. So
And it's a rare opportunity because it's Lake County based this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of the question is really how big do we want this project to get, and how many stuffed animals would they really like, right? You know, because if you end up with all of Lake County doing it, I mean, we're thinking about quite a lot of stuffed animals, I would think.
Well, in New Mexico, actually what happened is that I did it twice a year in the last couple years because the initial donation did not make it through the year. I don't know, I didn't ask Carrie Flanagan how many children they saw, but in New Mexico, they saw 22 children a month, which is kind of staggering. But so they did run out. I personally, I mean, I could call her and ask her, but rather than do it in one big drop, my feeling is that it was better in 2 smaller drops, mainly because I don't know what storage space they have there. And that's something I'd have to ask her, that if they were overwhelmed, whether they had storage space or not.
So maybe it is a good idea to start smaller with just us and one local church and see how that goes, and then enlarge it if need be.
I think that's a good idea. You know, if it turns out this is wildly successful and we repeat it again, you know, it could be a county-wide deal and we could be the people in charge, and that's fine. But we should see how things move along on a beta basis. How about that? This could be the beta test. So we'll, Joan, we'll get back to you about the dates for Shabbat, and so you know what to ask Ms. Flanagan for.
Fine, great.
Move forward on that. Yes, we're good on this, guys?
Thank you very much.
I think it's a wonderful idea, and thank you for bringing it to us. Susie Mason, tell me about Pride Month and the parade, please.
Sorry, just trying to unmute. So yeah, I contacted Carolyn Pinta about the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade, and there's a form we have to fill out, but I said we would like to participate, and that will be great. I believe it's, I don't have the date in front of me. It's around June 2nd. So that's this, I believe it, hang on, sorry. Let me see if I can find that real quickly for from Carolyn. But so we do want to do something for Pride Month. So sorry, the Pinta Pride Project. I'm looking for it's going to be June 4th. And there's an entry form, there's a sponsorship form. The sponsorship is more expensive than the entry. But we would ask for some money to participate. Businesses are 200, nonprofits are 100. Student groups are free, and sponsorships are another level. But I think if we just wanted to enter, we could. So we'll get a contingent together and march if people feel comfortable doing that. I know there's a lot of, concerns about parades, so I don't know if we'll have a group or not. What were you saying, Sharon?
Are there other congregations or churches that have marched in this before?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are always several congregations that march.
I think they might be from the northwest suburbs, Temple High, and
There's
but I
been
think-
some around here too.
yeah. The other thing that I would like to bring up is that today's Monday. Yesterday, our teens heard a Jewish drag queen. And it was I think they had a great program. And this person would be willing to come for adults. And maybe that's something we should look into doing in June.
For the Friday night or for a special program?
I think I was thinking like for a Sunday morning. I have to speak to the person, but they really wanted to come for like a Friday night for dinner, which is not our usual, and there's families there. I think Sunday morning is our more usual time. And I think if he's looking to shtick it up, you could shtick it up at a Lox and Bagel brunch. But I have to talk to this person first. Rabbi, were you there? Wait, you're muted.
I wasn't there for the program. I was just there to welcome people to the program. So,
Okay.
and I had to leave. I like the idea of sponsoring a group to go to the parade, and I like the idea of the speaker you're talking about, Vanessa, too. So just don't do it the same day. You got a whole month in June.
I got a whole month.
And also the day of the parade, I mean, my nephew is getting married, so I would not be able to march with you, but in Los Angeles, so too far to get back in time for the parade. So, but
they're having a parade out in Los
We may be
Angeles.
there the same weekend for a wedding.
yeah, maybe it's the same wedding.
I don't think so. It's my son.
Oh, okay.
A question?
Len?
Do we know that there is an existing level of interest in participating in the parade, level of interest in our congregants?
Yeah,
No.
I think so, Len. We have our DEI group that has met over the last few years, and so I think some of those folks would certainly be interested. And then, and we've had fairly good turnouts when we've had guest speakers during Pride Month, so I think people are interested.
Okay.
The wild card here is who said it? I don't remember if it was Sharon or Susie who said it. That there may be some concerns people have about participating in a parade, particularly this year. Something that wouldn't have come up, in past years in thinking about this. But for some people, it may be cathartic and a good thing to participate, and for others, they'd rather not. So we'll have to see.
I did not hear which community parade are you talking about, Susie? I'm sorry.
It's in Buffalo Grove, the Buffalo Grove Pride Parade. They have a different location that they're planning for 2023. They always have a very, very secure presence with a lot of police, and I mean, I marched in it last summer for representing Moms Demand Action, and it was a wonderful experience. So I think it's usually a very, very positive turnout, and the people who come out to support it It's good.
I think when it was first formed, and I'm guessing, I think it was probably 17 or 18, Beth Am, which was a congregation in Buffalo Grove, was one of the original supporters, and they were nominated for a FAIN award from the URJ for their participation in getting it started.
I don't know, but that sounds great. But I can pass along this information to anybody who wants it. It's I'll put it in the chat.
Susie, would you be willing to reach out to the DEI group and get their temperature on this and see if they would be part of it?
Sure.
And then you need to send me all the content stuff so we can do a flyer. I don't think it'll work.
Well, yeah, I think we need like to make a little point, a little team and how, there'll be other things to like coordinate, like how we're, what we're meeting, what the time is, who's interested. So.
What is the DEI group? I'm sorry.
Oh, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's Wendy Rhodes and her group, so that we are reaching out and reaching in with the language and events that are appealing across the board, regardless of age, gender, color, whatever. That was sort of a quick explanation of what that was. I don't know if that was fair. All right, Suze, you're going to run with that?
Sure.
Thanks. I appreciate it very much. Where am I here? PADS. Sharon, can you talk to us about the PADS and what we learned?
Yeah, I will. And I'm looking at the time too. Is everybody okay? Because we're probably going to run over by about 5 minutes by the time we talk about PADS, and then a little bit about RAC Illinois, what they'd like us to do. So anyway, Rabbi, I received a request from the PADS center coordinators, and anybody who was in on this conversation can, jump in with corrections. I don't have my nice email that I sent out to everybody in front of me, but anyway, he forwarded it to us. There is a PADS center in Deerfield at the church that's next to the police station on Waukegan Road, Christ United Methodist. They are part of a team, a Lake County team, and they house people every Sunday, males. They're up to 30 males every Sunday night. They provide housing at the church. And so there's, much like our Deerfield Free Store organization, there's different faith groups that take each Sunday night, and the BJBE is in charge of the fourth Sunday night of the month, and they're looking for a partner. So these males are bused down from Waukegan. They're screened before they get on the bus, and there's, criteria. They're clean, no weapons. They all sign in, and they come around 5:30, and they're given dinner, and then there's free time, and then they sleep at the church, and then the next morning they have breakfast there, take a sack lunch, and they leave, and they go back up to Waukegan, and they get counseling, job training, whatever services is offered through PADS, and then the next night they go to a different church in Lake County. So there's a couple different, so then Linda and I met with Len because Lakeside used to pack lunches for the PADS program, correct, Len?
Yeah.
And did you do that once a month, or?
There were, I just wanted to ask a quick question, Sharon. This is at First Presbyterian in Deerfield?
No.
Yes, I think it is. Yeah, First Presbyterian.
Oh,
That's what your email says. I've
Okay.
got your nice email.
Oh,
so-
yes, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right.
all right.
First press, I'm reading, so Christ United takes one of those Sundays and I'm, yes, First Press in Deerfield.
Okay.
Okay, and it's from October to April. So it's only
Right.
during inclement weather months. They don't have it over the summer.
Right.
So the woman from BJB who coordinated is Ruth Miller. So what what we talked about was that, we can just let members know that this is an opportunity to volunteer, and they can connect with BJBE or the coordinators of the whole program at First Presbyterian. B, we can do some kind of a formal team of people who would be willing to work with the BJBE team and be on site this one Sunday a month, and they have shifts. So you're there people come an hour earlier, at 4:30 to set up, make the dinner, and the shifts are, 4:30 to 9:30, 9:30 to 12:30. Yes, Amy.
So I used to do this a lot through BJBE many years ago, and we actually bought the food. We would add, there's shifts that actually purchase food and cook it, kind of similar to Evanston, what we do. So
Yes.
is that this as well, or there's chefs or restaurants? I mean, how does it work for food?
No, I think they make the dinners and the breakfasts there. And then the lunches can be packed.
If I recall correctly, Sharon, when Lakeside was involved with it, the dinner for that evening, Sunday evening, was brought in by the sponsoring church or temple. They would bring in a plate of lasagna, salad, and everything else. And then the folks who stayed overnight at the church would then prepare breakfast for the clients who stayed overnight. Lakeside's involvement was to prepare lunches for the clients to take with them Monday when they left. And so they had a bag lunch to take with them. And that was the extent of our involvement. It's fairly labor intensive, if I remember correctly.
Okay, well, we can put that down for a question to clarify where the food is made, if it's brought in or made there. But you think that the breakfasts are actually made there?
Oh, I'm sure that they are.
Yeah.
I'm also sure that the dinners are brought in and possibly heated up. They have a full kitchen, a fully operational kitchen. But I'm sure because I was there and I saw it, people would bring in food for that dinner, and it was a buffet style. The clients would, go through a line and pick up their food. I think it would be a good idea, if you're asking my opinion, to participate with BJBE, who appears to already have an existing group, and see how many folks from Macomb would be interested in getting involved with this project. And if there appear to be enough, then we could possibly separate off into our own sponsorship.
Well, I don't think they're asking us to do our own. They're asking us to partner with BJBE.
Okay.
I think, the other Sundays are taken by other churches. I mean, obviously, if we got so robust, but at this point, that's BJBE is looking for a partner congregation to help them. Then a third option, there's another program separate from what goes on at the church. There are so they have separate housing for the men and women. So at First Presbyterian, it's just males. Women are somewhere else, but for families, they're housing families at motels and in Waukegan and in Mundelein. And they bring in meals that can be heated up in a microwave that are in their motel room. So North Shore Unitarian Church, which we're already partnering with for Deerfield Free Store, is looking for a partner. I'm very unclear on how often they provide meals for this, because there's other congregations too, and that's something we would need to clarify. But we could partner in this project of buying microwave foods and taking them up to Waukegan or Mundelein in conjunction with North Shore Unitarian Church members. So and one reason we asked Andy here, and Lori Feldman isn't here, but I did mention it to her, you know, do we have an overage of people who are volunteering for the soup kitchen at Beth Emmet? And how do we realistically find out if we have members who would be willing to go be on site at the pads, you know, on a shift on a Sunday evening overnight? And one other piece is you have to be over 18, but they do allow teens to come in, like for the 4:30 to 5:30 setup or the lunch packing. Amy, when you did this, did you go and stay there at night?
I would go in shifts. It depends
Right.
what shift you were on, but I never stayed overnight. No, once we got them all set up with their bedding in the other rooms, and once they ate, and then, you know, that was it. I never stayed overnight.
Okay, yeah, so there are shifts. Nobody stays like from 4:30 in the afternoon to 5 to 7 the next morning. It's all shift. And that overnight one, they just have like 3 people there, it sounded like. Isn't that what you thought, Linda? It's not a lot of people there.
Yeah.
When they're sleeping. So, and we're not going to have time to get this settled tonight, because it's a lot to think about, but initial thoughts or ways, a way to, you know, get the temperature of the congregation. I know when we started Deerfield Free Store, we just said, if you're interested, you know, contact. Yeah, Andy, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think the way we got, you know, you and I communicated was that possibly there would be this overlap. And I was thinking that maybe that I could send out, or someone I'm happy to write it, a letter to see who's interested in helping this population, people who are hungry or don't have homes. And then from there, you know, list some of the jobs. I also think that it would open up opportunities both ways if people could volunteer to pack lunches at home and bring them there. That would, I mean, I think we did that when it was COVID, and that's not a hard ask. And it's a nice family project. There's a lot of nice things about it. I'm not saying it's not good to work with other people, but I think it's an option that allows people to do things that maybe they couldn't do otherwise. And anyway, so that's my offer. I wouldn't say we have a ton of people that last time there were people who wanted to help who we didn't have room for, but you know, I can't promise that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and one of the differences, the soup kitchen's, you know, 2 to 3 times a year, and you're looking, and this is, you know,
3 months.
or, you know, 6 or 7, I guess 8 6 consecutive Sundays or 6 consecutive months, so. I personally, I would be interested in helping, 1 or 2 Sundays throughout that period. But I think we need more details also.
Yeah, and I think it's a little harder if it's 18 plus, because, we used to help with our whole family to go to pads and serve other families. So this is a little bit of a different ask. I like the idea of Andy, of making the lunches and bringing them.
Joan?
I don't know. I don't know what the laws are here in Illinois, but our congregation in New Mexico during COVID, they passed a law that said you could not bring food that was made at home into the shelters because of various health concerns. So that would be, I mean, for myself personally, I much rather make, say, a lunch at home and bring it in. But I don't know if that's still possible after COVID here. It's something you should check out.
Well, it was possible. We did it at Beth Emmett here in Evanston. So it was not, that wasn't an issue.
I think interestingly, here in Illinois, they relaxed the laws rather than making them more tough during COVID. Because there are actually some good reasons for that here, but that didn't apply in New Mexico. So, but the question really is what the BJBE folks, what their team is like, what they're covering, what they need us to cover. It may be that what they're really saying is we need some people who really like to stay up from midnight till 4 a.m. We've got people who want to make sandwiches, but we don't have people who want to stay there from midnight till 4.
Good clarity.
Or they might have people, maybe it's the opposite, although I tend to doubt it. But find that out. But I think the idea for us would be to build a team to join with their team.
Yeah.
Right. So, and so I think we just need to get the word out through our various ways of getting the word out to people, not just through our, I know we have a Tikkun Olam list, but I think we want to get out to the whole congregation and see if there are some people who are passionate about this. And maybe we do have some night owls, who knows, who sit there and work a jigsaw puzzle in the church while everybody's sleeping. And it, doesn't sound so bad to me, actually, but I'm usually awake then anyway,
Me too.
Yeah.
I remember when Lakeside was doing it, the part of the program included 1 or 2 members from the naval base.
Great Lakes.
Great Lakes Naval Base. 1 or 2, I don't know what their rank was, but they were assigned to be at the pad center at First Pres for overnight. It was part of what they were required to do. I don't know whether they still do that or not, because if I recall, the bus that was would stop at Great Lakes possibly and pick up people. I don't know whether that's still true either. So, but I do agree with Ike that working with BJBE might be, the best on-ramp for participating in this program.
So if we're all interested, I will reach out. We've spoken all around this, but we haven't talked to the BJBE team yet.
Oh,
So I can get in touch with them. And if Andy, and then see exactly what they're looking for. Andy, if you want to work with somebody on maybe kind of drafting something we can put in the Macomb at Home about after we have a little more information from BJB about, you know, are you interested? Let the Tikkun Olam committee know.
Why don't you get back to me when you
Yeah.
have that? And then
Yeah,
I
and
will.
if somebody wants to, you know, work on Andy with that, writing something up. And we can explore it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Rich, can you update us on the listening campaign that the Illinois RAC wants to do, please?
Yeah, I will try to be as brief as I possibly can. So RAC, you know, the way RAC Illinois works is that they have an issue they research they research issues that they think will be of interest and then select two. So they're engaging now in their listening campaign. They're doing it a little bit differently. They're doing it from the ground up. So what they are asking is that each RAC Illinois congregation either meet in small groups or as a congregation and engage with their members to see what social justice issues each member would be interested in supporting. The way they're doing it is, you know, basically it's you know, you speak for 2 minutes on your personal involvement on an issue and why. And through that process, you know, come up with 1 or 2 issues. Then they're going to meet as a larger group and narrow, you know, maybe I'm going to pick a number, they'll come down, you know, maybe come up with 10 issues that they want to pursue. So I think they want to, and I don't remember the exact dates, but I think the listening campaigns go from now to April. And sometime in May, there'll be a large group to select, you know, what seems to be of interest to the broader community. Throughout the summer, they will engage with partner organizations. So for example, if immigration was one of the things everybody wanted to follow up on, maybe there'd be a meeting with ICER to see what campaigns are ongoing from ICER. If it's going to be something on the environment, maybe it's Faith in Place and what issues they're going to address. And then after that research campaign, then they'll vote and narrow it down to about 2 or 3 issues that we will actively support and meet with our representatives as they enter the legislative session in the fall. And I think I got most of them right.
That was great.
I know Linda, Sharon, and I think the rabbi also sat in. So that was my takeaway from the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, Rich, I think you summed that up pretty well. I mean, the only question is the question of format in a sense. You know, they're sort of suggesting 2 different kinds of things. One is that we have a series of parlor meetings that people are invited to, and where people in small groups get to talk about what they're passionate about in the areas of social justice and social action and so forth. At the kickoff for this a couple of weeks ago now, I guess, people were asked to share a moment when they recognized the brokenness in the world. And I led one of those small groups. It was I did the online night. I don't know if you were there. Rich, were you there the in-person day, right?
I went to in-person day. Linda and I were at the in-person day.
So I think the same question got asked. Maybe you were one group or broke up into smaller groups there. But so there is something powerful about the smaller groups and having people really share with each other. The other possible format is more like a town hall type meeting where you invite a large group all at once, but then perhaps once they're together, break down into smaller groups, perhaps with facilitators, you know, from perhaps this group, some of our other RAC Illinois people who are not part of this group could be facilitators like Jack Kaplan and others. So it's kind of a question of do you want to form? In either case, what we want is people talking to each other about what they're passionate about and coming out with a list of what those passions are to bring back to RAC Illinois. You know, these are the things that our community is really passionate about and wants to work on, you know.
I came away from the meeting, to me, I think the town hall group, similar to what the, so similar to the big meeting, you break up into small groups and then regather in the bigger group and break it down that way. I think one town hall meeting, to me, makes more sense than, I think you'll get a better turnout than individual house parties, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's certainly easier.
For sure.
I mean, one event in the synagogue, invite everybody and do what we can to get as many people there as we possibly can. And then have a small groups break out from that larger group.
And the other thing is the hope of this format is you're going to build a community of activists. So by starting with this, you'll find out, I know that Wayne tracks it, find out what other people's interests are and find out, and build a community for this campaign and future campaigns.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's good for us, right? Because not only, it's not just a question of ultimately RAC Illinois will say, oh, our partner organizations have these 2 or 3 bills that are going through the Illinois House, that we want to support and help with, right? And that's great, but we may find 2 or 3 issues that are, we're passionate about in our community that aren't going to be addressed by any particular legislation this year. But we want to keep them on the burners, for us.
And I know that JCUA is actively working with ICER on their Illinois campaign right now, and we're going to start engaging on some environmental projects also. So there'll be other opportunities. So having a broad list of ways to be engaged, I think, is definitely worthwhile.
Sharon?
So I think we need to work on identifying a date that we could do this, and maybe, I don't know if that's something that you could talk about at one of your staff meetings, Rabbi and Vanessa, or what was my other thought? Oh, is this going to be in person or virtual, or are we going to do both for people, because some people who might not want to come to a town hall meeting, do we need one of each? Maida's also volunteered to be do a listening session. So I think we've got some trained people to help with this whenever we decide how we're going to do it. And there's some others.
I think you made a good point. I think you do one in person and one virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds right. That's what they did. And, we're still talking about it.
Right.
So now we just need to look at dates. And
Yeah.
I think they did a smart thing when they did them kind of back to back. You could go on Tuesday online or Wednesday in person, same kind of thing.
Well, we know Tuesday nights are open because, or
Yeah, we
some
just
Tuesday
take it
nights are open. So maybe that might be our, virtual, I don't know.
If you use my Zoom link, it just has to be a Tuesday night. I'm free.
Okay. And would we, if we want religious school parents to be involved, do we do it, but then there's no space there for us to meet while religious school is on, but.
Well, it depends when you do this. I'll find out tomorrow for sure, but I think the tent will be going back up in April.
Oh,
So
good.
if you do this during good weather, you could do it outside.
Okay, Rich,
I think we need to be, I think we need to hold this. I think we need to be done by April, if I remember the dates correctly.
Never mind.
I don't think they gave us, I don't know, Rabbi, if you
There-
remember, I
there was
don't
a-
remember
there was
hearing a
I
date.
remember a tentative schedule. I can reach out to Aaron.
Okay,
I'll
that'd
reach
be
out to Aaron.
great.
I got the schedule.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
please reach
maybe,
out to Aaron, Rich. I don't remember either, but I think I heard what you heard, Rich, which is sooner rather than later. Yeah, but I'm not sure if that was a suggestion. So,
okay, well, if the office can come back to us with some potential dates, that'd be great, right?
okay. Vanessa, did you make a note of that so we can talk about it tomorrow?
Yep, I'm putting it on the agenda thing.
Great, thank you.
And what do it's lit? I'll just put Tikkun Olam dates.
Yeah, yeah.
Rack, Illinois.
Rack, Illinois.
Rack in
Rack.
Illinois.
University campaign.
All right, only 20 minutes after.
Oh my gosh, we're so late and I'm so sorry.
No.
But before we wrap up, does anybody else want to address the group about anything? Y'all wanted, Maida, yes.
Just real quick, Lake County United is, as I've probably said before, has been heavily involved in affordable housing. And Lake County United applied to the Lake County Board for some of the ARPA funds. So if you have contacts on the Lake County Board, it would be helpful. The ARPA funds, let me back up, the ARPA funds would go toward an affordable housing project in Waukegan, for which we already have the land.
Is there a timeline on that?
They're going to be making a decision in the next couple of months.
Okay.
Thank you. The only other question in front of us is, when do we all meet again? Sharon?
You're muted, Sharon.
Sorry.
I am
The
muted.
third Monday in February is President's Day weekend. So I thought the 27th, if that worked with the green group and with the office, if you can check that date.
There's nothing, there's nothing on the office calendar.
Okay.
And isn't there something about moving the board meeting in February?
Yes, but she moved it to February 6th.
Okay.
Okay.
So 7 PM on the 27th.
I will try to be awake for that. Flying back from Israel that day.
Oh my
It's
gosh. That's
Larry
right.
Mason's birthday, so I will not be available.
Whose birthday?
Larry Mason.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, really?
I will attempt to take him out, whatever day of the week it is.
Okay.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank
This was,
you.
I think we
I
covered a
appreciate
lot
it.
tonight.
We
That's
did.
a lot of
We
stuff.
did, and I really
All
appreciate
good.
being able to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.